Hi there, in this video I'll be showing you how to create a synthetic creature sound effect from scratch. Alright, so that is the style of sound effect that we are going for in this video. Before we get into it and create a brand new patch, if you are a beginner sound designer and you're just getting started, I recently created a free training that I put together just to help you get started. It's basically to help video game sound designers build their portfolio, create an online presence, and also showcase their work. So if you're interested in seeing that, I'll make sure to put a link in the description, so make sure to check it out if you're interested. Alright, but with that said, let's get started here with a brand new patch inside of Faceplant. Alright, so here we are inside of Faceplant, and the first thing that we're going to do here is I'm going to create a wavetable, and here we're going to want to edit our wavetable and create from sample. Alright, so from here you can see that I have a whole bunch of sounds that I recorded. These are just sounds of myself making screams and shrieks and stuff like that. Sounds kind of like this. Alright, so that is what we're going to use just as our base. So I'm going to start here with this one here, and we're just going to see what it sounds like. So here, I'm just going to bring these in a little bit because I don't want all the silence parts at the end here. And the first thing we're going to do before we actually close this window is I'm going to put in an LFO here. I'm going to turn this to off, and I'm going to modulate our wavetable here so that we can actually hear and listen to this new wavetable that we created from our sample. So let's have a listen here. So that sounds kind of cool. One of the things you can check here is the phase alignment, and if you choose a different one here, you'll get some different results. So, right, this one's more aggressive, more noise. Kind of want to choose one that you might like. For this sample, I kind of like this. Why don't we start with that? Okay, so I'm going to close this. Here we go. I'm going to increase the release here a little bit. All right, so with that, we have a good base to get started here with our sound. The next thing I like to add here is a wavetable. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off the output here so that we're not actually going to hear it. And we're going to modulate the phase with this wavetable here. So something like that. Now, I'm going to turn this actually all the way off because I want to be able to control it with the mod wheel on my keyboard. So with that, I'm going to put it to about 100% here. So now it's not being activated unless I move my mod wheel. So if I move my mod wheel here, right, then you can hear it. And the place I like to put it, I mean, you can experiment with this, but I like it usually around the triangle mark. Right, you get this kind of like this buzzy character to it, so it sounds nice. And if you want more or less of it, you can control that with the mod wheel. So for now, I'll leave it here. Next thing I'm going to add here is a unison. I'm going to go to synthetic, and let's have a listen to what this sounds like. And I'm going to blend this in with the original. So that sounds pretty good so far. Okay, the next thing I'm going to add here is a distortion. And actually, for this distortion, yeah, we're going to leave it here. I'm going to put it around here. Sounds pretty good. Now, the next thing I like to add at this point in my design is a bit of uber loud. And this is just to bring up some of the mids that we're kind of missing and that are not really present in the sound. So this kind of helping to bring out some of those low mids. So if I take this off. Right, I like that, so I'm going to keep it there. Next thing I'm going to do here is a bit more uber loud here. I'm just going to keep it at single mode. Next, I'm going to add OTT. For this one, I'm going to do my regular here. Actually, I'm going to test and see what it sounds like this. All right, so this is a good starting point so far. Now for here, I'm going to increase the release of our modulating FM synth here. So it's kind of similar to this one, so it doesn't kind of snap and you get this like weird pop in your sound. All right, next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this first group up here and I'm going to bring it down here. And we're going to do the same thing here, except with a different sound. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to load a different sound here that I have, and let's have a listen to this one here. Now, since we can't really hear, I'm going to turn off this first one here. Right, sounds a little bit too much like the first one that I had, so I want something a bit different. So let's try this one. So you have to play around with the pitch here just to get it to sound the way you want. And again, here, I'm going to try a different one here. So I'm going to choose this one here. And here we're going to have to remodulate the FM synth because it came off when we copied it. So I like that a lot. Right, you get this really clicky character to the sound, and we put it together here. All right, so this is a good kind of base and starting point for our sound. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is just add some effects to make our sound a bit fuller and more digital sounding, more synthetic sounding. The first one is going to be a comb filter right here. So for this one, we can actually probably modulate it with a macro here. So I'm going to do that right here, just by 50%. I'm going to bring the mix down a little bit. Sounds good. Next, a phaser, and I'm also going to add a flanger. So let's go through these one at a time. I want the spread all the way down, because if not, it sounds way too wide. It sounds kind of strange. That's good. Same thing with the flanger here. Great, and now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change and edit this LFO here. So with this LFO, it sounds okay, but I want to make it a little bit different. So we could actually keep it kind of like this if we wanted to, and just do ping pong. And let's just try that to see what it sounds like. So this now it's going to just go back and forth. For this bottom group, I'm going to try a different unison here. So I'm going to keep it on smooth. And now that we're at this point here, I'm just going to add a few more effects here. So I'm going to add another instance of uber loud. And another one here, just to bring it up again. All right, and another thing I like to modulate here is the speed of this LFO. So I'm going to do that with another macro here, and I'm just going to do like this. So let's say the fastest I want it to be is that. So I'm going to want to make it go all the way down to about this. All right, so you get this deep growl now for our sound. For this group here, I might bring down the gain a little bit. Perfect. So this is a really nice synthetic kind of creature sound, creature growl. And what's great about this now is I can go back if I wanted to and edit the wavetable to try out different sounds that I had created, different roars and shrieks and stuff that I had made, and just do that with different wavetables. But I like what I'm doing so far. So I'm going to add one last thing here, and this is going to be a sampler. And inside of this sampler, I'm going to want to include some sort of creature sound or monster sound. So if you don't know how to create these or design these, I'm pretty sure I made a video about it. If I did, I'll put it in the link in the cards above. But yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to search for and import some sort of monster sound. So I'm going to do that right now. All right, so I found this monster sound here. It sounds like this. All right, so I'm going to import that into here. Just Control Alt and drag it over. All right, so now I have this sound here. I'm going to bring the gain all the way down a little bit. And now let's just have a listen to just that one on its own, just so we can actually hear what it sounds like. Now, as you'll see here, it kind of sounds funny because it's going through all these two lanes here that I have these effects on, and I don't really want that. I want this to be a pretty clean sound, the clean monster sound. So with that, I'm just going to put it into lane 3 where there are no effects. I'm going to increase the release a little bit here. And you'll see here, of course, I play with the pitch just to make sure I get it right, because if not, it sounds kind of strange. It's going to play really slowly. Okay, so I might edit that a little bit more when I bring in the other two layers. So let's have a listen to everything together. All right, so this monster sound is a little bit airy, so I'm going to see if I can find another one that maybe fits a bit better. All right, so I found another one here. It sounds like this. Let's try that. All right, so this one I find works a little bit better, so that's great. So with that done here, I'm just going to do a few other things here just to kind of tweak our sound a little bit. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a loop point here so that I can play my sound as long as I need. I'm going to add some crossfades here, so it's just a smooth crossfade whenever it's looping. Next thing I'm going to add is a random LFO, as well as a sample and hold LFO. Here I'm going to put the smooth all the way to 100. I'm going to increase the speed a bit here. It doesn't really matter what it is. And I'm going to apply this to the sample and hold LFO. And what's this going to do is every time I play a key on my keyboard here, a note on my MIDI keyboard, it's going to pick a value and it's going to apply it to the offset here. So this, what it's going to do is just going to randomize where the sample is going to start. So it's going to start, the earliest is going to start around is here, and then it's going to go up to 36%, wherever that is. So probably around here. So if I take this off here, like that, right? So the other thing I could do is I could also apply this to the pitch if I wanted to, or anything, just to kind of change up the pitch of the sound. But for this, just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to keep it like this now. So now you should have some sort of variation every time you hit a note on your keyboard. And with that, you should have a pretty good monster sound. All right, so I hope you found this tutorial useful and valuable. And if you liked it, I think you'll like another one that I made about how to create monster roar sound effects, like I mentioned in the video. So if you want to check it out, I'll make sure to put it in the cards above and or in the description below. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Any questions, please leave it down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.